in human design.
I can't wait because the will stands alone. It gets its own circuitry. It has its own access to the voice, unlike the other circuitries, and it's got a very particular way of doing it. And it's worth pointing out that the will and the sacral, they're all packed in about the same place, but the will never touches directly the sacral. These are two fiery motors. These are both fire, more so than the other two motors that can be fire, but these ones are just fire by nature. And they're not, those twains are not meant to touch at this time. Maybe 400 or 500 years from now, we might evolve and it will, but it's not here in us right now. It's worth pointing that out.
I feel like I remember some raw audio somewhere where he talked about that the will and the sacral do not directly connect because then people would never die.
Basically, life would go on for an awful long time, potentially, because the ego willpower that then keeps the body safe through the spleen would be generatively empowered. Everything would be generatively empowered at that point. And yeah, the heart would never stop beating. The heart center wouldn't stop beating. I mean, I don't know if it's infinity wouldn't stop beating, but
It would last a whole lot longer.
a whole lot longer.
The will, the ego, the heart center. And this is about willpower and the material world. This is about resources. So we'll start off with gate 40, which is deliverance, and the gate of aloneness, which is part of tribal ego circuitry that hooks up to solar plexus gate 37.
What is the language below the name of gate 40? Deliverance, the point of convergence,
The point of
between
transition,
right? The point of transition between
struggle and liberation.
struggle and liberation. I knew it was something in liberation.
I made sure to have my book all handy dandy.
Thank you for that. Yeah, but it's that converging in this point you come to where suddenly you've been liberated into rest. And the thing is, gate 40 is watching for that point, and it's moving that point. That point is supposed to move. The older the ego gets in their life, the more they're supposed to move it towards more rest. I've earned it, basically. Not that they want to, because they'll be busy doing something else. It's just more rest from actual work and stuff like that. But gate 40 is so tribal. To me, it's almost the most tribal of all. It doesn't come with an agenda. 21 wants to control everyone. 51 wants to get the heck out, maybe. 26 just wants to be, look at me, and 4 is more humble. Gate 40 builds the temple. It wants to build the temples. And it only wants one thing. Well, it wants several things. It wants to do the work. It feels good about doing the work. It wants to pat itself on the back after having done a bunch of work. It really does. And it wants to come home to a solar plex gate 37 that appreciates it and feeds its hungry belly. 44 would be basically almost like the gate of the stomach in a way. It's where the furnace that allows the calories to generate the work of a day that someone will go out and do and bring home, that they will do. And it's doing it all for affection. Its primary currency of gate 40 is affection. I mean, sincere affection, that the type of affection that can't be mistaken for anything that, yes, I do love you. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not hot love. It's one of the love gates. Gate 40 is one of the official love gates. And it's a love of being the mule that will do the work for the 37. And it's looking for that friendliness that will do it because gate 37 is about friendship. But it's tribal friendship that's sensitive to the needs of things and sensitive to the needs to support things and to be supportive. And it's part of a channel that will give bargains or not, right? The bargain is drawn through this channel of community 4037. So if the bargain isn't right, 47 doesn't reach its deliverance. And what does it do? The opposite of being delivered is, I'm going to go be alone. You can't have me. I won't do the work and I won't finish the temple. And so 37 is mystically wanting to have a good friend in God. That's why it needs a temple. And 40 is saying, I want to give that to you. I'll do it. I'll be your mule. I like, that's part of my love language. Let me go to work. I don't mind one bit. Let me go to work. And If the bargain isn't right and you don't appreciate me and I don't feel affection coming from you, which is my primary currency, I don't care how much money there is in it. They will never be happy. They will not be delivered, is the thing. And they won't reach that point of transition. They won't reach, and they'll see that I'm not reaching that point. The transition is the moment. The liberation is the reward. But the transition is the moment we're all looking for. The kids in the car, are we there yet? Are we there yet? That's what this is constantly looking at. It's like, I'm doing this work. Oh, I love doing this work, but are we there yet? Are we there yet? We're going to be there soon. Good. All right. I'll get back to work. I'll be there right on the nose for my liberation. You don't get one extra minute out of me unless the deal is going real well. The
It's very
bargain in here.
Yeah, and the beauty of the high expression of the tribal bargain, right? Because we're not talking about like corruption. We're not talking about somebody taking advantage of someone. And in the high expression of the 40-37, it's like the 40 is like, I got work for you. And the 37 is like, I got food and love, and I'm going to take care of you and have your slippers ready when you get home. And we're both going to share something that makes us better and stronger and happier in the whole. Like a good bargain is going to be beneficial for both parties. That's the beauty of a good bargain and a good deal, a good negotiation. It's not taking advantage of somebody, it's not abusing somebody. It's, I have this, you have this. If we put it together, we'll both end up with more. Let's make a deal.
Let's very much make a deal, and let's make a good deal. And where did that deal come from? It came from the marriage contract in 1949. Through all those principles and the approaching with the resources. What is the deal they're making? It has something to do with resources and the resources of the tribe and the affection and the deliverance. Think about this. Our bodies contain the genetic information required to have affection, pay for the work for the sake of the family and the community, and driving the health of the where the children will go to school and eat and come to the dinner table. And everything happens at the dinner table for this channel. You know, and it's very dinner table oriented. I'm surprised I got away with what I got away with when I was growing up, but it is very. I was alone. I wanted to. That's calm is my eating environment,
Mm-hmm.
determination. So I was constantly removing myself. Um, I'm surprised they let me do that, but they delivered, and they were affectionate. 40-37 was in my family a lot. It's probably in most families because it is a common
Yeah, because
definition.
they're opposition. They show up. Oh, yeah, that's the funny thing I was going to mention. The 40-37, they're opposition. So the sun and earth, like they're 180 degrees from each other. So they'll be lit up at the same time and be very frequent. But what's funny is that the 40-37 is lit up during Labor Day.
Yes, to do the work. That's so true. And that's so appropriate for that because it really is getting this done that way. Again, it's a love of work and it's not slave work. It's when the tribe wanted the temple built because of such a deep tribal belief in their God at that time, however that worked, it was a joy every day. And so that means those people were doing good time on planet Earth and their consciousness could only go up. You know what I mean? They could only raise the awareness of what they knew in their surroundings and what they would do with their total environment that's around them and how they would steward the lands. This is the
Mhm.
great gate and channel of the work should steward the land. Somewhere along the way, don't go polluting it, wrecking it, scarring it, and fencing it up if you can help it. Although 40 will do all of that work too. Don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
the awake version of this whole channel and this little binary system, which like it's just a binary star system is 40 and 37 because it's the ego and the solar plex. So
Mhm.
two two great motors that go great together. I mean, these things, right? They inform each other
Yeah.
a great deal.
And there's so much power there of like when the will is into it and it could rally and the solar plexus has like found its clarity over time. Like that's very powerful. It makes sense. It's like it's the tribe coming together to build something for the sake of the tribe. I'm thinking like Amish barn raising
Yeah,
type of
that's
situation.
40-37 business. Yep. And for the sake of it all, and the last thing I'll just say about 40 is begs, make it good for me because I want to do all this stuff, but do make it good and friendly and tribal feeling and fair. Make it feel like we're advancing and moving up somewhere along the lines that's making it better for our children. This is the great channel of legacy for the children.
Hmm.
Right here, this is legacy. You're looking at it. All that splenic stuff might go about the business of creating a will and legacy, but this is the living embodiment of it. What for? You know,
And the feeling that connects into
feeling. Please let it feel good. Make me feel good. That's what 40 is doing because it doesn't know what necessarily to feel good about until it's informed by the emotional clarity of 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 37. And by the way, if you have emotional definition, that is your authority. Doesn't matter what your type or what else you got. A trick question I would ask people if I was training them, not so much a trick question. I said, if every channel on the body graph is lit up, what do you got?
an emotional manifesting generator.
Generator, right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many spleen gates you got and how many projected channels, because the way authorities work, you're an emotional manifesting generator, period. You know, just proving this world is emotional work generated business. And that partially includes this ego and this gate 40. So make me feel good. Please tell me, my love, my liege. Guide me to the right feeling that does feel good. My strategy and authority get me there, but if I had your affection, that would just be the icing on it all. You know, it's a great want that comes in here. It's a need. Make it feel good is part of the need of humanity. Doesn't mean we don't follow our strategy and authority and bounce out of the thing if it's not working, even if it did feel good sometimes. You know, that's different. But part of 40 is just yakking out into the world, but make it feel good. Or I
Exactly.
will go silent and you won't have me, and I will be the nihilist that you can't even break through to, and I have the ego willpower to do it, and I will shut you down. So a lot of power there.
Wolf.
Yep.
40 will work for food and affection.
Yep. Will work for food and affection. Absolutely.
Next up, we have gate 26, which is the taming power of the great and the gate of the egoist. It's part of tribal ego circuitry connecting to spleen gate 44.
Now, we talked a bit about this when we talked about the 44 a moment ago, but 26 is just the roaring power of what the ego is really exemplifies. I always tell people, if you got someone in your life with a defined ego, let them roar. That's what egos do. When they're in their stride and their swing, that's what a good ego will do. It wants to feel its ego willpower burst onto the plane, and it's part of the gate of the trickster. This gate 26 is there to be a little bit tricky with the information it gets. It's there to manipulate the tribal memory and memory generally just a little bit, because you can't just give a cold splenic message to thing right now. You got to finesse it a little bit. Sometimes the message needs a little bit of delivering. We're doing that right now, Moni.
You need a little razzle dazzle.
Need a little razzle dazzle here. I'm not sitting here saying gate 26 is the egoist and it wants to roar. I gotta add inflection. That's manipulating, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you strike out with a tone of voice, you are now manipulating in your own way what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
which you're supposed to do, for God's sakes, or else everyone would be dry, dull, boring, and we wouldn't get anywhere. Um, you know, the tantric channels wrote the Kama Sutra, and 26 said, oh, let's get together and do that Kama Sutra tonight. You know, and have that going. And 40 is like, well, I did enough work, so I do deserve it. Well, that sounds good, but 26 trying to make it sound sexy so that everyone will show up. And by the way, pay a door entrance fee while they're at it, you know, potentially. So that's 26. This egoist that wants to help transmit a message that will ultimately be good for the tribe, and it wants to be the best. It wants to be first. I know 51 is a design to be first in a way, but that's an individual thing. It happens in a pulse. It's not like they try, they just want it as soon as they're in the thing. They want to be first with themselves. 26 wants to compete, be first amongst everyone else too.
And
We
the
beat
and
their
the intertribal connection there.
intertribal, interworld, interspecies, inter all of it, and interfamilial too. Yeah, my brother's good, but I still beat his butt with that. They just want, they love that. They love to roll their sleeves up. They have a love of work too, but work that's like got this special reward that like they get to win and kill it and see, look what I did. Now that
Mhm.
transmission is important. We need that. The ego is here to bring fire into the tribe and let it burn with the burning heart of the supportiveness and the loyalty and the affection of tribe. You mess with a tribe member, and the whole well-working tribe will show the Amish. You know what I mean? It's like they all show up, right? No exceptions. They all show up.
Mhm.
It's like, dude, it's wicked important. They'll ring that bell or however that their system works, and they will get on their horse and buggy, and even if it takes 40 minutes, they will be at Mr. Melanson's farm because the bell rang. Period. And
Mhm.
26 will rile up them forces and get them there to deliver the message. It's not, hey, the bell rang, we got to get to Mr. Melanson's farm. It's like, dude, put that down. You can water that later, and we got to get to the farm.
Mhm.
So they're gonna, it's a certain bluster to the voice that comes out of 26. And so for that, some people call that tricky. It's like, we didn't need to get to that farm so fast. He was doing fine, and there were already people there digging the well, but I'm glad I showed up to help. But I could have still finished my cup of coffee or whatever. But the ego tricked them and said, no, we're going now, and
Mhm.
gave a certain type of emphasis that makes it like happen that way.
Yeah, the 26 has that,
Transmit.
like, salesman aspect to it.
Yeah, salesman aspect to transmit a message that needs to be transmitted ultimately. And then sometimes it gets a little tricky with all of that.
It's
And it
like
has to.
transmitting a message to rally, because the will center has this ability to rally. It's like, okay, you
Yep.
need me, no one else can do it. All right, fine. Like, I'll put my shoes on.
Yep.
And so it's with gate 26, it's like transmitting that message that needs to be transmitted to rally the tribe.
And to put forth onto the plane the beating heart of that tribal support and loyalty and sensitivity and food making and baby protecting, all of it, and values and law. That's all of that is basically will get transmitted sooner or later.
Hmm. And the 26 runs hot to the 44 running cold.
That's a good way to put that, because that is absolutely true. The 44 is always trying to cool down the 26.
Hmm.
Part of why they must surrender to each other. You ever take a nice warm bath and it feels real good? It's just right, right? It's just the right temperature. You didn't get that way with the hot water spigot on all the way, and you didn't get it that way with the cold water spigot. You had to mix them
That perfect balance.
to get that
Just
perfect
short of
balance.
scalding.
Yep. So everyone has their perfect temperature. But to get it right, you have to mix the hot and the cold.
Mm.
And that's the perfectly drawn bath is the perfect analogy of how these two surrendered to each other. Because think about it, fire is burning the water to make it hot downstairs in the boiler, and the cold water is just cold off the street, so it's like cold because it's been underground, and it's always that way. So those are two different things, and they must surrender each other to create perfection, and the perfection is the transmission. Let them bluster, dude, and let them do their thing. They're supposed to do it. And if you're 26 in your life is too much, so they might not be the right 26 for you.
Next up, we have Will Gate 21, which is biting through in the gate of the hunter or the huntress. It's part of tribal ego circuitry connecting to throat gate 45.
21's got such an incredible job. The opposition of 21, I believe, is it's 48. 48, 21 are the opposition to one another. So this is the cross of tension as well. This gate is generally doesn't sit there and live out a life of tension, but it can, because it's got to be in control of its surroundings. There has to be a modicum of control it exerts on its house, the colors of the house, what the children are wearing, the food they eat, the things they will produce as a family, and the look they're going to have to the outside world, and the contributions they're going to make in the outside world. That all is under the purview of 21. Now think of and its control 21 starts the Gestapo, and the police. Not that I want to bring that up that way, but 21, that's 21 business. You might as well put squad car 21 on there instead of police on the cars that go by. It would make just as much sense to me. Oh, here come the 21s, run, or whatever
Controlling
it was.
things.
Yeah, right. It's like, were you speeding? And I was just, okay, no, that's good. That 21 will drive right by. Don't you worry. You know,
Mhm.
that type of thing. The hunter and the huntress are these names that need to be there because the act of biting through whatever resistance might be in the way, and it's the justified and necessary use of whatever ego will force is going to come out to dissuade the deliberate and persistent interference of things and especially others. So I added too many words on there, but that's what it is.
You're pretty close. It's gate 21 is the justified and necessary use of power in overcoming deliberate and persistent interference.
Interference. Yeah.
You're
Okay.
pretty.
Yeah.
You're right on. You're right there.
Yeah. And it's power. It releases. I mean, I dated a person at one point a number of years ago. They had gate 21 in the first and second line, and both of them basically are pointing to might is right, and the justified use of power is the true self. And when you just sort of give in a little bit and not throw that power out into the world, that's your not self of it. So 21 is designed to have a booming voice that asserts authority, and that's what bites through. And the reason of the hunter and the huntress is because it's just an analogy from, it wasn't all that long ago we had to hunt to eat stuff. I mean, we've got a couple hundred years, barely, not even a couple hundred years. We've got barely 100 years now where we could
Yeah.
only ever go to a refrigerator and no one even knew what it was like to hunt.
I mean,
You
even
know,
less if you're talking about refrigeration. That's only less than
you're right. So let's give
100.
it like 70 to 80 to 100 years type thing. Not long,
Yeah.
not long at all. So for the other 75,000 years or however long you want to go back, when the larynx dropped and we could articulate better, that was 80 or 90,
80,000.
something like that. Yeah. So from then till now, we had to hunt. And what happens when you go on a hunt? People die, or the village won't eat. So, who's in control of that hunting party mattered. Gate 21 would bite through any resistance inside that hunting party, up to the point of, when we get back, we're going to put you on trial and you might hang for what you did at this hunting party. It's a big deal.
Mhm.
So, up to and including choices of life and death that it would have absolute rule and command over in that hunting party to make sure it does what the tribe does. The tribe is there to support its loyal members and bring them back home alive. Now, all the gates of the ego want to do that in some way, shape, or form, but 40 is like, hey, I'm busy working in the first place. And 26 and 21 will totally go together. 26 will beat the war drum, and 21 will say there is a war drum, you know, and it's there. And 51 is like, I'm going to bounce out of here because I don't want to hear no war drum. And 40 is like, I'm working in the field. I'll feed you when you get back. Um, but 21, that biting through is a necessary component to the tribe. So that support isn't free. The sensitivity and the affection is not free. You don't get it for free. I mean, if you're a baby up to about the age of 5 or 6, okay, you get it for free. After that, it starts to have a cost, a tribal cost.
Mhm.
So people always say, always honor your strategy and authority. Yeah, mostly. Because when you're in the tribe, my strategy said, I don't want to. But sometimes the tribe says, I don't care. And so
Mhm.
you got to pick your sacral self up if that's what's going on. You had a sacral hit that said, or whatever it is, or you're bitter about it, or you don't feel like doing it, or even if you're a manifestor and you want to say no, most manifestors have some kind of ego. I shouldn't say most, but it seems common, manifestors having an ego. But regardless, it doesn't matter strategy and authority in this one extent, because sometimes the tribe mandates, we need your support. And so it didn't matter if you didn't feel like doing it. You're going to get up and do it. And you know what? You're not even going to mind because you're going to get, even if you don't have a defined ego, you're still going to get that momentary ego good feeling.
Mhm.
The ego people will carry it for days and have it as a robust part of their psyche and their whole way. But we'll still live that moment out with them before we leave their aura. And it feels good. It doesn't feel bad. It feels great. I love that ego high for the minute or two I get to experience it before I leave the aura.
Mhm.
It does feel really good. And even if I didn't feel like doing it, I end up saying the same thing the ego people say. Well, I didn't really feel like doing it, but you know what? I feel really good about this accomplishment. Suddenly,
Mhm.
I don't think I wasted my day anymore because the ego and usually the solar plex connected to it brought the sensitivity and the affection and the love and the loyalty and the feeling of being supported through all of it. So, of course, I was there. 21 will demand that. So it's 21 is not about the spiritual, like it can be very spiritual, don't get me wrong. It will paint the right colors on you during ceremony and all that good stuff. But don't give it a whole dissertation of, oh, everyone to their own kind. It's got to, love and peace on earth will mean that everyone is only their own way, and that's how we want to foster. No, you go be your own way. About 2 hours from now, right now, you are shoveling crap out of this barn whether you like it or not, because that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
And I did it yesterday, and it's got to get done here.
Yeah.
But I don't
Sometimes.
wanna. Yeah, I see that. Do you want my voice to boom at you? Because you're giving me deliberate and persistent interference right now, and that's what 21 quells. It just quells it naturally. There was a point in time where the gal that I was dating, I just I essentially wouldn't dare cross her mostly until Sacral said in some profound way. And then
Mhm.
it was a fight. And that's what led to I remember our breakup came when I finally said to her, listen, I love you, but I totally love me more. And we were
Mhm.
broke up within a month. I loved it. But all the time that 21 made me do stuff, and she had the 40, 37. Now I think of it. That affection paid me over and over again. Now that I think of it. And as much as I didn't want to do this stupid thing, I felt good after I did the thing 9 times out of 10. It started to wear out after a while, and it became 8 times out of 10 and 2 times out of 10, and no times out of 10. And that's when we finally broke up. But the point being, these were not wastes of time. 21 will tell you what to do. Sometimes you better listen.
Yeah, because sometimes in the tribe you have to do things you don't want to do for the sake of being in the tribe, and you'll get the other benefits of being in the tribe. Like you'll get that affection or protection or food or resources or whatever it might be. But yeah, sometimes you gotta, shovel out the
Tribe
barn.
comes first. We live in tribes. We
Mhm.
don't live alone. And we don't live in the collective. We live in tribes. Community is a tribe. A family is a tribe.
Mhm.
Little tribe, big tribe, medium tribe. Yep.
Extended family, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes you have to go to the wedding or the christening or
Right.
something that you
Stupid
don't want to go
wedding.
to. You have to go to the holiday thing. You have to see the family they don't like and that weird
Done.
uncle. It
Right.
just, yeah, you have a place in the tribe, but know your place in the tribe, and the 21 will tell you what to do.
Yeah, and it will, and the whole tribal functioning will fit you into a place. You will fit yourself into a place inside the tribe, and so get used to that place because there will be a place until you move on to the next gate and bounce on out of there,
Hmm. Yeah,
which
and that
happens.
21, the last thing I wanted to touch on is the 21 as like the resource manager of the tribe, because
Totally.
the 21 is going to go to the 45, and that 2145 is the king. It's the monarch kind of energy. And so the 21 is kind of managing what resources do we have for the 45 to then be able to hand it out.
And broadcast and teach the rest of the tribe how important it was that we had this stuff in the first place. 21 doesn't have the voice to teach it. 45 does, and
Mm.
express it and deliver that education to the tribe so that they know. I mean, 45 says, I canvas. That's its first line. And 21 says, yeah, well, I bite through and make sure you have the resources so that what you canvas is not a lie. And 26 says, well, I'll sell that. And 40 is like, well, I'll get to work making it. This is the widget factory, the tribal widget factory.
Hmm.
These three gates, you put them together.
Yeah, it's resource manufacturing and engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because 2121 doesn't make it right. We live in a world doesn't mean it's correct. We live in a world where there's so much variety. It's not, we don't have the same, 8 things you got to do every single day like we had 100 years ago. Got to do those 8 things. Right now, there's so much more and everything. So 21's needs is a little different than it used to be. So you do have to stand your ground where your strategy and authority actually kick in enough and start to tell you what to do. Just be sensitive to always, with your 21, be willing to relent a little more so than any other gate in the body graph. Just to tap your toe in the pool of relenting into the 21's demands, or whatever the 21's sort of looking at and doing the thing, just because they need that. So be sensitive, being sensitive to that need is handy. And if it happens on the fourth and fifth and eighth time, finally you put your foot down in some way, shape, or form. So that's how I would suggest all of that.
Finally, we are going to talk about gate 51, which is the arousing, and the gate of shock, which is part of individual centering circuitry and connects to identity, gate 25.
Mm. So I have gate 25. Moni, you have this whole channel.
I got the whole thing.
I love gate 51s. They always make me do crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
51 sees its share of blood. 51 starts the heartbeat of the blood in the body. 51 gives the power that then arouses the innocence, which is 25, the innocence of all things. If you have gate 25 in your body graph, it doesn't matter what the line is, you're innocent. And it doesn't mean you're innocent of the crime if you went and committed a crime. It just means you have the extraordinary potential to literally act innocently. 51 knows that. That's where its leap goes to. Because if the individual pulse to want to leap into the void, to want to do something, to have a thing that doesn't want the excitement to go away yet, or was looking for a new thing that feels like it might light it up in an exciting, ego fiery kind of way, it's looking for all of that stuff in an individual capacity, which happens in a pulse. And by very definition, the pulse itself is innocent. So 51 has this weird place. It is in the ego. It is not the tribe. It is part of a tribe almost always, because everyone is one way, shape, or form. But its leap is into innocence. And because the will wants to leap and arouse the stagnant and churn up the things, it's like, guys, let's get this party going. Something's going to happen here, And Evil Knievel is a 51. I don't know if it's actually 51, but he jumped over the Snake Canyon
The
in a freaking
energy of,
homemade rocket ship. It's like, dude, I saw it live. The parachute had to go, or he would have killed himself. He finally had a brain and took a parachute, unlike all his other jumps, but he couldn't help it. And I was going to presume he had a gate 51, or was married to one, or something of that nature. And it just, or the channel, and it wants to basically tell the tribe, hey, I found something new. Why don't you check it out this way? It's where the individual and the tribe meet up. And we need to meet up. The tribe doesn't meet the collective anywhere. Anywhere. And it meets the sacral through the tribal circuitry, but ego doesn't meet it directly. Ego meets the individual directly here, and here alone, actually. So I think that this gate literally wants to burn on fire with certain things, or avoid the fire of certain things, especially as you get closer to that 6 line, where it's like, I'll just go my own way. But I think the first line of 51 is reference, isn't it? It's reference.
51 is reference, yes.
So it's the reference of past experience brought through to the fire of right now. That will I leap forward? Well, Custer leapt forward and he got his head cut off. Maybe I won't leap on this one. Reference. Because you will leap into certain things. Keep taking that word leap and recognize 51 is meant to see its share of blood. Blood from its own skinned knees. Blood from the whatever you did. You cut yourself, you got some tracks on your head because you fall and stuff, whatever. You take chances. You ride that bike over a jump. You want to climb the tree. You can't help it. There's a fiery excitement, and it's humanity's capacity to do what all spiritual things require, to step into the unknown. You can take the word leap out. You can stroll into the unknown. You don't have to leap, but at the end of the day, it looks like a leap because everyone's like, what the heck are you doing? So the tribe has to allow this. Think about that. Tribe has to allow it. They can't simply shun the 51.
Mm-hmm.
The tribe will fail if it attempts to shun the 51, because the ego is the tribe. Everything connected to it as well, but
Mm-hmm. And it needs the 51.
needs it. absolutely needs to do what the tribe may seem like it's all business, but the tribe has a deep connected history into its past and into its potential spiritual and mystical way. The tribe's always beating a drum for something, having a type of thing that it does over and over again, a custom, a ritual, big on rituals. You know what I mean? Tribe demand blood and sacrifices of some sort. It demands the right religion. These things are here, but 51 still has the capacity to change all of that. And the tribe and all the tribal definition and all the circuitry of the tribe, all of it must give way to 51 sometimes. So if you got a 51 in your body graph and you're in your tribe, sooner or later, if you spend your whole life there, you will not spend a whole lifetime. That 51 did not challenge the values of the tribe, one way, shape, or form. No, I'm a little bit gay. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit gay. That 51 could tell the tribal leader that at some point in time, 51 can come out of the closet. In other words, so to speak, and that's a big deal, right? I'm just trying to think of something that might be weird in the tribe, and 51 finally says, "Well, what are you gonna do? Kick me out?" You know? And the tribe is like, "No, we must take in new blood into our tribe. We must. We can't just stay this way. We will stagnate." And they know they'll stagnate if they don't take in new blood. And 51 is the source of that new blood. And it's no coincidence that is the arousing of the stagnant. So,
to follow up on your hypotheses about Evil Knievel, the stuntman, he totally has gate 51 on an undefined will. He's got 51.3, which is adaptation, the power of spontaneity in times of change. So, shock and crazy things, but oh no, it's time to pull the parachute.
Yep. Or I'm up in the air going over Caesar's palace right now, and I will adapt on the way down, apparently. That
I
is
thought
a
that's
good one. I love line 351, that adaptation.
also completely unrelated to our conversation, but he has a completely open route, which is kind of funny for impulsiveness.
Yeah, that is funny.
That is funny. But yeah, so gate 51, it's the only individual circuitry of the will center, which is interesting. I mean, we already been kind of talking about that as the will center is extremely tribal with the other three gates, but 51 is going to bring something new. It's going to shock. It's going to jump into the unknown. It's going to find some new resources in gate 25, some new objects that can help the tribe. And if the tribe accepts them, then cool. Like these are worthwhile new things, but maybe sometimes they're not, so.
And that becomes a delicate dance in the tribe, doesn't it? 21's like, what is this BS? 26 is like, oh, 21's going to have something to say to you. 40's still like, dude, I'm busy working, waiting for my point of liberation. Maybe, maybe not, 40 will say, is there affection on the other side of that? But 51 may not get its way 4 times, and then the 5th time it does. Somehow, way, shape, or form, may say, I don't care if I get my way, I'm going my own way. I struck out on my own, because innocence can do that. The rock need not toil. It strikes out on its own by definition, by just sitting there as a rock. And even a rock has a gate 25 in it. 51 seeks the glory of God in gate 25, and it will leap anywhere to go find it. It's incredibly brave. It's the archetype of bravery, being afraid and doing it anyway. 21's like, dude, I am afraid, and I'll only do it if I absolutely have to. 50 will say, no, I'm just doing it just for the spiritual nature of this. I must. Dude, that's crazy. Don't do it. I must. 20, and the rest of the gates will be a little more practical about all of that. Not 51 need not consider its practicality. It need consider its landing pad. And need not even consider that at first. It will consider it on the way down, like gate 3, like line 3 demands in Evil Knievel. That's so funny.
Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that. Yeah, 51 is always shocked out of the tribe, I find. I have the 51-6, and I find it's like I got a place in the tribe, but kind of not, and I'll always get shocked out of the tribe, and then I'll find my way back into the tribe, but always kind of shock out of it and find some new things. And like you said, maybe 9 times out of 10, they don't like my findings, but that 1 in 10, it's something good.
It's something good, and you wait around. You'll support your tribe for the sake of that 1 in 10. until it gets to be too much. There is a point in time when it's not fair anymore, I'm
Hmm.
sure, but you know, a well-embedded 51 isn't eager to just leave the tribe,
No, we
but
just leave for a little bit and then we kind of come
leave for
back,
a bit.
see
And
what we
they're
find.
also not eager to shut up about it necessarily. I did this thing because it's part of your identity. It goes straight to the identity and the love of all things into the vessel of love. You and I know intimately. We both have it. 51 shocks alive the life. It starts the beat of the heart, and it literally going into 25. It's like the spiritual innocence that says, I must survive.
Hmm.
Imagine that. We have a genetic proclivity to leap into the thing that is the unknown. It could be the abyss. It could be the jaws of 10 alligators. We don't know
Might be
per
a feather
se.
bed.
And it could be a feather bed and it could be the love of your life. And it certainly is at the love of all things. The leap is at the love, of universal love of every last speck that we're connected to, anyways. That all things are interrelated is inherent and seen as the active approach to a leap. So,
Hmm. Also interesting is that individual willpower is guided and necessitates innocence.
that's so cool, isn't it?
Right? Like the only individual willpower that we have, the other three gates are tribal. The only individual willpower within our programming and our design is predicated upon innocence of the 25.
I love that. That is an incredible spiritual message. That is a deeply profound message. It's not a measurable message, and you can't take it to the bank,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yet we do it.
Mm-hmm. And
I
that
find
20,
that I find that incredible. It's the beating
absolutely.
51 is the beating heart of the ego, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say, Mom?
Oh yeah, just like 25, it's uncontrived. It's that innocent. So it's not like individual will, it's not this for the greater good of me. Even though it seems that way, because it's individual willpower, so it is the individual going their own way, but it's predicated from this place of innocence as its foundation, and I find that very interesting.
Mm.
It's almost like a check and balance kind of thing.
The innocence of the universal love of all things seems like an ordained message by God Himself. It really does. So God sanctions this leap. You can look at it that way. And it is very, very mystical because we can't know what's on the other side. There's no practical reason you can put onto the leap in the first moment of it, per se. Sometimes you can, but per se you can't.
Yeah, no, just going. Like, I mean, my will is unconscious, so it's always a surprise to me. Like, oh, okay, I guess I have energy to go in this crazy new direction and do this wild new thing. But it
Right,
just, the body is just moving. It's not an awareness center. It's not the spleen. It's not the solar plexus or the ajna. It's very unaware will
right.
that's just like, I'm going in this new directions. I'm gonna machete through this jungle and see where I end up.
Both of them are unaware. The whole process is just innate. It's baked in. It need not be thought, mind, emotional and waved, solar or splenic hit. It need not in it has none of that awareness in it. So our divinest way, sanctioned deepest by God Himself, is not about our human awareness. Our human awareness is there to make sense of all of that later and along the way. Spleen will still do what it takes to keep you safe. So don't leap now. Wait 2 seconds. Okay, now leap. That's good spleen business there, right?
51
Right?
is like,
Hold on, no,
oh,
no,
here we go.
one more second. Okay, now leap.
Uh-huh.
But 51 still says, well, dude, you got 10 seconds. I'm leaping. I mean, it's gonna go. And
Mm-hmm.
25 is the innocence to catch it. I picked up 51 in my Chiron return going on. It's getting on to 10 years ago now, and I feel that energy show up. It's not part of my natal chart. It's not actually one of the codons I possess per se, but it's an essence that shows up in your Chiron return after about age 50. And even when I was just a 25, with just a 25 as a vessel and a defined G center, I loved the excitement. I loved it when it came along. My innocence made no judgment. Yay, we were running here. We're going fast. Da, 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 da. And my mother would scream out, Daniel, where'd you supposed to tell me I need to know where you were? But whatever the thing was, innocence took me away, Ma. I didn't have the language to tell her.
Yeah.
I probably lied, you know, so I wouldn't
It
get in
would be
trouble.
real.
Yeah, miserable little kid in that way, but I wasn't. I was just innocent. The innocence I was swept away, all gentle like on a breeze, like Forrest says when they show the little feather floating along. That's 25 and 51 technically.
So 51, the arousing, the shock, the individual lightning bolt that finds its way
I
into.
like a lightning bolt, thunder over thunder. I actually expanded that at one time. I remember hearing Ross say lightning and thunder over and under.
Hmm.
Now, the lightning isn't part of the I Ching way, but I mean, it is a lightning strike, this 51.
Yeah, it's that kind of out of nowhere shock that you just have the grace to survive. Now, tying these all together, these are our 4 gates of the will center: this ego, material world, resources, willpower, and there's 3 tribal and 1 individual.
Hi, I'm the ego. I really have this individual desire to find something new. I want something new under the sun. And 21, make sure we control the environment because sometimes we need to find something new under the sun. And 26, transmit the message when we did find something new under the sun. And 40 says, you know, I'm going to make sure the work continues to whatever was new under the sun that just got found. It was good for the tribe. Good find, kid. We're going to get the work to make sure that gets done. And this is the ego supportive mechanism in service of the individual. The ego seems like it serves the tribe. It does on its mundane plight through it all, but all definitions serves the individual. You can count on that in all your human design readings, and every time you read for something, every time you're looking at a chart, you recognize that definition you're looking at in those gates, some way, shape, or form, and that cross is there to serve the individual uniqueness that comes in a pulse. That's the God frequency. That's the sound that goes right through the center of the body graph when you get into the advanced mechanics. And it is our connection to the rest of source. So that's the ego in a nutshell. And it loves to bluster and roar and get it done. And even 51 would love to bluster and roar sometimes when it's getting it done. I did it. You know what I mean? It's got the thing. It knows that it did it.
It
And
did something cool.
and it's cool. And it competes. The ego, even 40 competes. The ego competes. That's okay. There's ugly competition. That's 7-centered. And there's awake and aware competition with our own selves that just wants to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like it's watching like a good game. It's watching a good baseball game or something. It's watching an awesome basketball or hockey game, like competition, and its high expression can be something so beautiful and can really push us
Absolutely.
beyond what we think is possible. I mean, that's like the beauty of athletics.
Yep. And it's the beauty of competition, generally speaking. The 9-centered version of competition is an exalted thing. And the 7 centers an ugly, murderous killer thing. So get out of our old 7-centered ego, because once upon a time, ego ruled the world only, you know, within the manifester. But not now. It's part of the world like everything else. And
Yeah,
it rules plenty of things. And 21 will rule some stuff. Don't get me wrong, but you know.
Yeah, but again, it's like that high expression that we're looking for. It's like the will can rally. Like the will is like a heartbeat that allows for nitro boost. Like when you're playing like a racing car game, you got your regular speed and then you can hit that nitro boost for like a little bit of time, but you could rally and make it happen. And then it's got to like have some time to like refill up. And I find that really interesting. Yeah, it needs to rest to be able to like beat the heart again and to pump again. So the will center being able to rally is really neat. And my other ego projector friend went to a human design conference and they did different aura experiments. One of which is that they put all the undefined wills together and then the defined wills together. So he was in the group of, 5 or 6 defined wills hanging out just to see what that feels like. And he said that them in that group of defined wills felt like they could do anything. Like between all of them, between the 5 of them with defined wills, they could do anything. They can make anything happen. They could rally. They could put their skills and their resources together and they could make anything happen.
And they would be right. Ego is, I mean, there's only 3 manifesting channels, and one of them is 2145.
Mm-hmm.
That says something. That's an important aspect of the body graph and the way our mechanics are set up generally. Manifestation is very much ego business, period. It's very much controlled ego business that is fiery and does like to compete. It wants to pour that out into the world. Absolutely. And
And
then
then
get its rest.
yeah, absolutely. Definitely needs its rest. Like the heartbeat can pump and then needs to rest. Comparing with all the motor centers, right? The root center, it gets something going. It's a pulse to start. The sacral is in response and it only has energy for what that sacral is like. Yeah, I got energy for this, or nope, too bad. The
Right.
solar plexus can be incredibly powerful once it finds that clarity, but still needs to find the clarity. It was with the will center, we could rally to anything if we want. Like
If you want.
if I want, if we're into it, I can do it. And don't waste my time if somebody else can do it. Like somebody else can do that, let them do it. You call me when you need the specialist who can only do what I can do, but we can rally in a way that's very different than the other motors feel more confined in a way. The
Yeah, I
the
agree with that. I agree with your analysis, Moni. I totally agree with that. Yep.
thank you.
They can rally, choose to rally, can do it even just at any given time. And they don't need that clarity, and they don't need that sacral hit, and they don't even need to feel that root pressure on or off. Meaning, like what you're pointing to is that the will is perfectly, you pointed out a thing. You said, hey, if someone else can do it and they got that, that's fine. Because the ego knows it's got nothing to prove, because it knows it can prove it if it feels like it. It's like
Mhm.
gate 12 says, I know I can if I'm in the mood. It's a manifesting thing. And the ego is very much about manifestation
Mhm.
at the end of the day, because it gets out to the throat. And it's just like you said, it doesn't feel bad. It knows, whatever, I already know I can if I feel like it. If someone else got it, I got nothing to prove that way. It's comfortable with its nothingness to prove. Whereas the open ego has to learn that it has nothing to prove and internalize that. So when it goes about the business of suddenly proving something, that's simply because its individual definition was empowered to do so. Its sacral gave the energy to do so. Its projectorness recognized, oh God, I'm definitely proving this. You know what I mean? And on and on. If I go through and keynote all the other
Mhm.
aspects. And so open ego people prove plenty of stuff, but it's not by virtue of the competition with itself and potentially with others. It's by virtue of its empowerment in the now that just suddenly is proving something.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting. And just in continuing that comparison with like the four motors, the will can choose, but it can't do it consistently. Like I can rally and I can do that nitro boost and I can make something cool happen, but I can't keep it going for an extended period of time. It's like I got an hour or two and then I got to lay down for a little bit before I can do something again. So it's just very interesting in doing like a contrast and comparison with the different
It can
motors.
choose. That is the greatest way to put it. I don't think any of the other motors can choose like that.
No, it doesn't seem like it because the root is just
The
getting a
solar plex
pulse.
can choose, but it's sloppy business if it's not clear. Because if
It
it
can be
chooses,
get in a mess if it
yeah, get in a
agrees to
mess if it
something. Yeah.
chooses now. Ego can choose right now. That's it. Right now, I choose.
Hmm.
Root has no choice of anything. It's just constant. Root is always on, by the way. It's always pouring out. It's either governed or not, like the start codon says, releasing one at a time, but it's always releasing. Sacral has no choice in anything. It's open and enveloping. If you have a defined sacral, by definition, open and enveloping aura. So it doesn't even get to choose what comes in on it.
Hmm. Hmm.
But ego, absolutely, of all the motors, ego gets to choose.
But,
And that makes sense for the ego. Hey, that's my choice. That's not yours.
hmm.
That's an
And it,
ego thing to say.
yeah. And just, but it also has to be choosy because it's like if you choose A
Indeed.
and then you're not going to have the energy for B,
Right.
like you got to
Ego is
be
meant to
really choosy. So,
sprint.
yeah, it's like you can be choosy with a defined will, but then, okay, well, you wasted your energy doing this thing. So now you're not going to have it on this other thing, which is why it's like, don't make me do something that someone else can easily do with a defined sacral that's into it, because let them use their flowy energy for it. You
Right,
call me when
right,
you don't
right.
have somebody who
They'll
can
be
do
stuck
that.
doing it till 2 a.m. and they can't even help it, and they're happy about that.
Yeah, exactly. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you on all that. That's a really interesting keynote and an interesting aspect and a flavor to add into the ego. The ego gets to choose. The ego does get to choose. I've watched egos choose over and over again. It's an amazing thing.
Hmm. But
And
it's
it's
like, yeah,
obvious.
you got to
It's
be smart about it though.
right. Sacral's obviousness isn't so obvious right away. I mean, it takes a moment for other people to see, oh, I guess that thing's going on, but the ego can actually announce its obviousness and its choosingness that it chooses to do something. I think that's amazing. And
Cool.
if you
All
got
right.
an open ego, you got nothing to prove. You got nothing to prove. And you
Yeah, don't
think
go
you do.
chasing it.
Well, and that's going to be hard for people to really take in and understand, but at first, but that's what the coaching's all about. You got nothing to prove, and it's a beautiful place to be. I have an open ego. I don't have to prove it. And when I
Mhm.
find myself proving it, I didn't even try.
Yeah, don't go
So,
chasing it. Because I also find with undefined egos, family member told me this, like she's accomplished so many things, like wildly amazing things. And she never gets that sense of, I did it and I'm done now. Like she doesn't get the satisfaction of proving something because she's an open will. Like it's not there. So she can chase that, but there's nothing worthwhile about it. So if you have an undefined will, you don't have to prove anything. And even more than that, you won't get the satisfaction. You won't get that feeling of, I did this in the way a defined will would. So it's almost like a double whammy.
and you need to stop trying because the proving very often is you're trying to prove your own self-worth because you doubt your own worthiness and worth, and you can't tell and you can't measure it. And you take an ego being at a job interview and a non-ego being, and the ego being, you both get hired, but chances are the ego being made $1 more an hour than you did because they knew to say it and you couldn't quite measure your own worth. And that's the unworthiness that is the open ego that is trying to prove stuff because it figures proving something will alleviate the pressure of feeling unworthy. Just like being in a hurry would alleviate the pressure of an open route when it's not, when
It
it won't
never
do that.
does.
No, except if you have an open route and you find the thing you like to be in a hurry about, run, run, Forrest. To have fun. It's great.
Uh-huh.
Be wise because it's only going to be one thing. It's not the 100 that your open head center is thinking about too many things about. So now you see why coaching in this whole area is going to be so important over time. I want a university. Where's the HD university? That'd be a good thing. HD university for lay people, not to learn human design, to learn their design for their kids and just sort of how it. One day we'll start teaching this stuff where we don't have to make it sound like the words of the high arcan covenant people from on high giving us words from the gods, you know, raining down on the poor little humans. That's what human design sounds like sometimes at first because it's so much. One day it'll just be like, oh yeah, you got this, this, and this. Oh hey, don't worry about that. You'll like this. You'll notice as I say it, it even feels good when you think about it.
Yeah, it'll become that critical mass thing where there's enough of a frame of reference that,
That's what it is. Yeah.
yeah, there's gonna be enough of a frame of reference because it's like, everybody doesn't need to learn this as in depth as us. Like if you want to, awesome, please. I would love more people to talk to about this. But for the most part, it's like, hey, you're a sacral generator, you're a magic 8 ball, run with life through like that. Like that's enough for a lot of people. So I feel like
Right.
we're developing to that level of critical mass where you'll have your super nerds, but you'll also have a lot more average people, or with kids in school.
The few nuggets you give them, and they'll just believe it. Like the doctor will say, "Oh, this is what you need. Put this, rub this on there," and you just believe it.
My sister has, like 4 kids, and what, 2 of them are sacrals. There's a point that hits at whatever time at night where they just start running around like mad and they have the zoomies. And she was kind of like, uh-oh, like, is this a bad thing? Like, do they need to start winding down for bed? And it's like, no, let them run it out. They're sacral and then they'll sleep great. And they do. And the other 2 are manifestors. Okay, lay down early. It's like those little things that I think are going to become more ubiquitous in especially helping parents and kids and how to manage all that because it's a lot. But hey, now your kid's sleeping properly. That's a big relief.
The manifestors and the projectors and the reflectors don't get pissed, I bet, that their brother or sister generators stayed up a little later than they did. Did you concern yourself that your siblings might have stayed up later than you if they were generators or any of that?
I mean,
Do
it
you
wasn't a
remember?
matter of concerning myself. I had no sense of, hey, this is enough, you should lay down. Like if there was a sense of, hey, you're a sensitive little projector that needs some time alone and needs to lay down in the day, that would have been great. But you know, it was just living in generator world. And here's another thing, and
Right.
here's school, here's after school, here's choir, here's sports, here's extracurricular, here's band.
Okay, I get it.
Grateful for all the, you know, opportunities and learnings, but I was just drained and continually going. So there would be no level of awareness to lay down because there was no opportunity. No one knew to say, hey, this one needs to lay down more frequently. That would have been great. So
Right. Right.
it's hard to make that comparison.
Wow. I would love to hear about your sister if the two manifestors care that sometimes the two generators are up later.
The
I
one
mean, that's the way it
manifester
works out, right?
the one manifester wants to go off on his own. He's got caves environment and he just wants everyone to leave him alone. And then the other one is just caught up in all the sacral buzz, not knowing when enough is enough and just being a little,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, just being a little insufferable. So, you know, bits and pieces where I
Bits and
think
pieces.
people will learn it with kids and their own well-being and,
Yeah.
you know, all that.
Indeed. Oh, we got another thing. Let's
Yeah.
see.
I always tried staying up late and finding human design. I learned I need to hibernate to get proper rest as a manifester.
You do.
Absolutely.
And by the way, you need to break the aura because the generative aura covers the planet. It covers the whole planet. So anyone in your household, you need to get a good 8, 10 feet away from them for at least a little bit if you can before
Mm-hmm.
you go to bed. Reading a book helps. I'm glad you found that, Joy. That changed your life, didn't it?
Oh yeah. Being able to like lay down and get away from the generator buzz, like that's
And not feel
magic.
bad.
Yeah. Or knowing like when my boyfriend, he's a manifesting generator, sleeping phoenix, he is busy. And knowing like, hey, get out of the way when he's getting ready for work. And I could feel it because I'll feel like I should be doing something. Something's wrong. I shouldn't be laying down and resting. It's like, no, he's getting ready for work. Let that sacral buzz around and leave. And as soon as he's out of the house, I'm like, okay, now I got to go lay down for, you know, 20 minutes, half hour to just recover from his sacral buzz of getting
Wow.
ready to leave. Yeah. But at least
Yep.
now knowing it, because I would feel bad. Oh, he's going to be mad at me. I'm being lazy. I'm not doing enough. And it's like, he's never, ever been like on me about being lazy of all things. Like I'm constantly doing stuff. So being able to have that awareness of, oh, I feel it's almost like popcorn popping, like now, 3420, now. And so recognizing that where I'm like, are you getting ready to go to work? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll just keep laying down then. You know, so
Right.
let me just get out of the way of that
I'm pretty sure
buzzy
there's
energy.
nothing I need to do here.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could just feel it as he leaves and it's like settles. And I'm like, okay, now I'm just in my own energy. Okay,
Well, plus
what
you have that fifth color motivation, right? Is that right?
guilt? Yeah, I fix things.
So you and the feeling like you have to do something.
Oh, constantly, Jesus.
Yep.
Like I was raised Polish Catholic. There's a lot of guilt in there. You got to fix
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
make it nice, clean.
My motivation is desire and that color, third color.
That sounds more fun.
No, because it got me in lots of trouble. I constantly, when I was little, and I didn't know when to stop because, right, everything is always right now because of the MG in me. I was constantly inserting my desire into every last little thing. Let's go
Mm.
here. Let's do this. Let's do this. And
I was trying to initiate instead of
yes, and that created a great deal of initiation at a young age when I didn't know better. And it also brought me to things like fire and fast and heights and everything else, like quickly and abandoning the family, as well. If the family showed up, I desired to go find others because I can't leave my family. They wouldn't play out my desires per se. I had to do them on my own, which meant strangers. So I was Mr. the inventor of stranger danger, for my mom, my poor mother. Get that desire taken care of, really,
that makes sense. Especially as like a fourth line because you're 2-4. Friends with Audio wrote me, projector, X, manifesting generator. I constantly felt like I was trying to keep up with them.
Yep.
Absolutely.
XMG. That's a funny way to put that, my friend. That was good.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot, like, and it's so delightful because sacral energy is life force. It's life force and buzz and ooh, they can do so many things. And being a projector, we're like so focused in on them, and you almost have to be invited out when we are caught up in the generator, again, that engulfing aura. Like it's hilarious with my boyfriend. I inadvertently like follow him around our place. I don't mean to, but it's like getting caught up in like the wake, in getting caught up in like a
That,
jellyfish. Like
that happens
jellyfish,
with my roommate.
Yeah, jellyfish don't move on their own. They just move with the currents. And that's what it kind of feels like as a projector with a sacral around. I don't mean to be following him around, but wow, I'm just a few steps behind him, just carrying along in the stream.
Wow, it's so, and you're reminding me of exactly what with my roommate. She's a projector, emotional, motorized ego projector with all kinds of stuff, with a 58, 18, and 17, 62, so triple split. And she's always got to get out and then get in. But the thing is, as soon as we start talking about something, she does. She'll if I move, right, she keeps moving with me, and it's the weirdest phenomenon. I pointed out to her once in a while, and I get really sensitive as soon as it's 8:30 or 9. It's like you need to check out. I'll just tell her. She doesn't even really know her design. She wasn't super open necessarily to like in-depth reading every day or anything like that, which is fine. I would
Mhm.
just tell her, I was like, dude, it's about that time, Aren't you're running down on juice, right? So
Because
I
the
wouldn't even give.
generator will know when enough is enough, but the
Yeah.
projector won't. Like the non-sacrals, we just don't. There's not the data. I'm like, you're done now. You should stop.
So, like last year, I would forget and I would say something else and I would start right back up. And now, when I make that statement, I'd be like the dealer at a card table, the dealer in Vegas. They just shut up. They don't get to talk until they dealt them cards. I deal them cards and I wait for her to. I
That's
just
fun.
shut up. Yeah, nothing but pleasantry. Have a good night.
Go
It.
away. I love you. I love you.
Yep.
Go away.
Yep. For your own good, go away.
Yeah.
Essentially, because I know it's that time.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and if we overpush it, if like you as like an undefined sacral, like if we overpush it and miss our like sleep window, and if I get too caught into his schedule and staying up too late, it throws me off for such a long time until I could like whittle myself back to like, hey, maybe lay down by like
You
11 or
can get
midnight.
thrown off for a couple days in a row, can't you?
More than a couple days. Like I can get
Wow.
well because he's got the 5, I got the 15, so I got my extremes, and he's got the consistency. But if I
Right.
start getting caught up and staying up too late regularly, because he'll stay up later than me, then yeah, I'll definitely get caught up in that for like weeks at a time. And I'm like, it's 2 in the morning. I should not still be awake. Like,
Right.
not a good idea.
Right. Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm glad we had this talk.
Thank you for hanging out. If you guys got anything out of this, if you can do us a favor and hit that like button, it really helps us. I know it seems like a really silly thing and everyone always says it, but it does actually really help. So thank you so much for that. Thanks for hanging out.